All right, welcome. And this time around, we'll be talking about Forexes. Yes, I have a Forex expert with me. It is Ose Obimon. His face you've seen a couple of times, so you recognize him. Welcome, Ose, to the show.
Thank you for having me around.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Forex sales resumption. The CBN is preparing to start dollar allocations to Forex to Bureau de Change operators. But an APCON report says that speculators will lose billions in the next few months once Forex sales resumes. Who are speculators?
Okay. The word speculator actually means people who have interest in the foreign exchange market in the bid of doing business that involve buying currency when it's cheap and selling when the price has gone up. So anybody can be a speculator. We have retail traders, we have individuals, even the Bureau de Change, all of them, they are all key players in the industry. So the main aim for a speculator is just going there to buy when the currency is cheap and sell when price has gone up. So it's just the knowledge of, having knowledge of financial market and looking out for, because it's not about just looking at the currency, buying and selling without putting in some measures, which we could either refer to as the technical measures or the fundamental measures. Now, let's look at the fundamental measures. Now, the fundamental measures, let's take the case of the pandemic, the COVID-19. Okay. These are one of those factors because a lot of countries' economy are shut down during this period. And as a speculator, you know that these things have negative effect on the currency. So anybody that has a background knowledge on the fundamental or the technical aspect of the market can actually be a speculator and taking those informations, using them for their own advantage to maximize profit.
Now, why do you think APCON, the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, is saying that speculators will lose billions once the market commences Forex sales?
Okay, yeah, these are speculations, but I would say that there is a little degree of truth in it because the rates at which dollar was exchanging while they were shut down, I mean the Bureau de Change were not doing business, was actually based on demand and supply. Okay. And as at that time, there was scarcity of dollars, and you know in economics that when there is excess demand and less supply, price will automatically jump up. So the exchange rate that was actually going on as at that time was due to market pressure. Okay. It was not a true reflection of the economy itself. So it was all about the demand. There was high demand, people needed it. So a lot of persons were actually interested in buying dollar because they feel that the dollar price has, you know, gone up. And those people that have to sell, they are selling at a high price. So the system runs like that. But it's not a true picture of what the economy is actually saying, because as at the last time I checked, dollar were exchanging at 450, 460, and 430. But these are not, that's what CBN is saying, that the current exchange rate is not the true reflection of what the economy is talking about. These figures are actually as a result of the business going on between the private market, the speculators, and people that, you know, Nigerians now always love to buy things, keep and sell. So before you can be able, that's why they are saying that a lot of investors were going to lose money, because many persons were actually doing this kind of business without having the knowledge of what it entails for currency to go up or to come down. Because before the pandemic, there was an exchange rate which was pegged at 375, 365. Now, these guys that were actually doing the business, which is the Bureau de Change, they were off business as at that period. So influx of dollar was scarce. So as at that time, the only few persons that had to sell were skyrocketing the price, going as high as 450. And coupled with the fall in oil price. So many of this information actually kind of contributed to the fact that made dollar to rise against the naira. So it's normal, because if the sales of dollar resumes now, definitely,
and certain sectors open up,
definitely there'll be a gap. Now the gap we are seeing now is between 375 and 450. For that 450 now, the price of oil has gone up. You know that the Nigerian economy is actually into oil. The price of oil has gone up. So that's people that
closes the margin as the naira is gaining strength.
As the naira is gaining strength. So people that actually bought at 4, okay, imagine now they start selling dollar out. I mean the Bureau de Change, and they've probably they've resumed, and price jumped to like 380. Imagine somebody buying at 450. That's a massive loss. So that's what CBN is actually trying to guide against and trying to advise speculators not to use the information of this shortage of dollars to actually, how would I put it? Okay, this shortage of dollars to interpret the Nigeria economy itself.
Okay.
That these are just measures.
Okay, it's not a reliable factor.
It's not a reliable factor at all. These are just measures that has to do with law of demand and supply.
Okay.
But as soon as resumption of dollar starts, definitely price will definitely come below the 450 exchange rate that we are currently having.
Now, what with the resumption of dollar allocation to the parallel market, what effect will it have on the markets?
Yes, first, there will be that demand and supply gap will be taken care of.
Okay.
People will have access to dollars, and especially people that are using it for BTA and PTA and the rest, they will have access to dollar. Of course, it will also have effect on the Naira because the pressure will be off. Because right now there is a lot of pressure. There is demand. People need this dollar to do transaction. Even during the pandemic, financial institutions were still ongoing. A lot of activities were still ongoing. People needed this dollar to do their business as usual. And right now, the moment they resume, of course, the pressure will be off, and the Bureau de Change will resume sales. At the end of the day, it will tell well for the economy, and the Naira will be able to gain value, not the current exchange rate that we're currently having at 450. Okay.
Now, does the Bureau de Change have any role to play in Naira depreciation or Naira recovery?
Yes, a lot. A lot. Because
what's the role in stabilizing the Naira?
The role is, one, accessibility.
Okay, because you can find Bureau de Change operators anywhere.
Anywhere, yes. Once you know you can find them anywhere and they have access to dollars, it reduces that stress of obtaining dollars.
Okay.
Are you getting it now? So at the end of the day, it makes ease of doing business very calm and simple. So that idea of having to go through the rigorous activity of acquiring dollar will be off the limit. So at the end of the day, it helps to kind of stabilize the Naira, because when people know that they can easily get Naira, once they have need for it, it will remove the pressure, because it is pressure that actually push, you know, the price up to around 450. So when you know that you can easily have access to it, you can have access to the dollars, then at least to a large extent, and with the help of the oil price, definitely the Naira will stabilize at 375 or 365, as the case may be, depends on what's the outcome, because we'll first of all need to wait for the resumption to start, and let's see the rate at which CBN wants to peg it, and then business can return as usual.
Okay. Now, as we wrap up on this discussion, what do you think of these situations that has remained where there is still a wide margin between the CBN rates, the official bank rates, and the parallel rates?
Your question again, please.
What do you make of the situation that has persisted where there's still a wide margin between the official bank rates and the parallel rates?
I would say it's because of the economy has been idle, and we know that the pandemic has not really helped, because a lot of nations shut down the economy. So this kind of, that's why at the beginning of the discussion I said that in currency speculation, there are factors that affect it. Okay, and I talked about the fundamental factors. Then we looked at the implication of the COVID-19. A lot of business were shut down, and economy were not booming as usual. So it's a natural phenomenon that as soon as businesses are beginning to open up, people are doing business. Like for example, the sales of dollar has resumed. It will help to boost the Naira itself, and that gap, that margin, will be closed. Because before now, we never had that kind of exchange rate at 450. And at that 450, if you look at the currency, which is the Naira itself, you see that it's currently at the overbought region. Now, that's where they talked about knowledge as a speculator. Because when you're buying at an already high price.
Okay, so you would sell.
Definitely.
At a higher price.
At a higher price. But if that gap comes down, to probably we're looking at an oversold region, there's a gap. So that gap is what CBN is trying to guide speculators from. Okay. That you have to know that this is not the real rate. This is just a gap, courtesy of the pandemic. Okay. So at the end of the whole thing, and business starts as usual, the price will definitely come back. They are just trying to protect speculators. So to be a speculator, it's good you have good knowledge of how the financial market works so that you don't get your finger burned.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question. CBN is actually releasing Forex to certain sectors, tuition, BTA, and some other sectors, but not to all who would need Forex. Do you think if they open up and perhaps make Forex readily available for business people especially, and maybe anyone who would need Forex, provided it's within a legitimate course, that it would further reduce the pressure and need for people to go over to the parallel market and just get Forex at any rate?
Yes, it will. It will, because it's all about, there's nothing as good as you have need for something and there is an accessibility to it.
Okay.
So if the CBN resumes sales of Forex to Bureau de Change, of course it will help. It will help a great deal.
And then to other sectors,
yes,
not restricted sectors.
Yes, it will help a great deal. Because it's all about securing the dollar.
All right.
And once that access is there, it automatically brings down the price.
Okay.
So
and
that's
the pressure
the pressure on Naira will be taken off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
for
much.
coming. He's a Forex expert and
is
giving us a lot of education on Forex sales. And that's it on this segment. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we would look at insurance. What better time to talk about insurance than now, when we just had a case of market fire disaster. We'll be back.
To rinse mouth with warm water and salt fit prevent COVID-19? Maybe they don't share message or photo give you say, if person wash their mouth with water and salt or even vinegar, if it clear the coronavirus come off for mouth fiam fiam. Na lie yo. International experts no give anybody this kind message as way to prevent or to treat coronavirus. And no just get am say, the virus fit stay for mouth for 4 days before it enter the lungs. Our tip for today, as you dey sit down for house, you fit reduce how you dey sit down, just dey do look. You fit dey take break for every 30 minutes, make you no for too tired. You fit even stand, shake body small or do exercise. Until next time wey we go see for the next video, no forget to dey wash your hand with soap and water.
Still talking business, and this time around we're looking at insurance cover. Now, a while ago, that should be sometime in last year when we had series of market fire incidents, we looked at the issue of insurance, but it seemed like some persons haven't really gotten the message, but I'm yet to find out what the problem is. I have been joined by an insurance expert, the person of Steve Ovonlin. Welcome to the show, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Insurance, what do you think is the reason why some of our people, business people especially, have not embraced insurance?
Well, you see, basically, the whole concept of risk management, indemnity, is also relative to the level of income in an economy. So when you are talking about embrace or acceptance, the general acceptability in quotes is dependent on the level of disposable income in the economy and the GDP. What is the per disposable income for a Nigerian per day? Is it up to $100? From statistics so far, it's far, far below. So economies where insurance is driven by the market is as a result of the income, the disposable income, and per person in terms of the level and the size of the economy. How well and buoyant the economy is means that aggregate demand and supply and national income growth, you understand, we have the supply function curve. So if you are asking why is insurance not accepted, it's related to the level of income per person in the economy. So the basic need will not be insurance per se, will be shelter and food and water and other minimal needs. But you see, when you grow the level of income in an economy, basically the awareness to invest in other beneficial human capacity venture, you understand, will be of essence. But if that is not the case, definitely this is the result you will experience, the low level of insurance acceptance in Nigeria.
But for business people, we wouldn't say the need for shelter and some of the basic things are the factors that will hinder them from going into insurance. You have a business, for instance, let's say you have goods worth of about 300,000.
Yeah.
What kind of products are available to such business people?
There are a whole lot of products that businesses benefit from. But to your amazement, I have to tell you that people that are doing good business actually embrace insurance, because the banks, definitely those loans that are giving us, definitely there's no bank that will expose its liability. That one is certain. So those liabilities must be covered, indemnified against unforeseen loss. The COVID-19 we are talking about is an unforeseen event. It's a calamity. You understand? But it has also come to tell the business world that instances where you will not ordinarily suspect a loss, increase your digression, increase your heroism in imbibing those unforeseen risks, because it could occur. The Katrina in the US and some other tornado and other natural disasters in the world, they were not planned for. And that is how it is for a businessman, for a businesswoman. You don't plan an accident. If you are conveying a good from Lagos to Port Harcourt or from Lagos to Benin, you get to Ore and there are incidences of, how will I call it, vehicle breakage on the road, or a terrible accident where goods worth millions of naira are damaged. But you see, there's an insurance that covers that from point of destination to the destination of the warehouse. That is to say, goods in transit. And once it gets to your shop or your warehouse, there's another particular package insurance policy that covers for fire and burglary. Then when it now comes to the people that are managing these goods and services in your shop, there are a whole range of policies that cover it. We have the fidelity guarantee, we have the professional indemnity, then we also have the GPA, you understand, the group personal accident.
So there are different products available
for businesses.
Okay. Now, the way these products are structured, do you think it's easily accessible and it's something that can be easily acquired by the business people? Take, for instance, when microfinance started, some of them were waiting for the customers to come to them, seek loan, but they design a means where they have marketers who go into these markets and make it convenient for the traders to just deposit money or even begin to repay their loans. Do we have such a structure in the insurance sector that ensures that business people, traders specifically, can, from the comfort of their business point, acquire these products?
What you are just trying to explain to me is what I call the economic growth and economic expansion. You saw the way the bank exploded in the mid-90s. It was as a result of economic growth and value. Then the microfinance we just talked about, they were driven as a result of competition within their sector. Intense competition.
Okay.
You have government microfinance setups, so many of them, from the agricultural to the petty commodity aspect. Then you also have some banks that are having subsidiaries of microfinance. Then you also have some individuals that have made so much money, they set up microfinance. And they all want to make profit. They all want to make benefits, and they all want to add value to the market. So that's the driving force. You now saw them going into the market to meet their customers at a low and cheap interest rate. Because for you to be competitive...
Is it possible to have that in insurance? Would it be a win-win situation for both the insurance companies and the traders?
Of course. If you look at the statistic,
okay,
from the mid-90s again to where we are now, insurance rates have been reduced drastically. Okay. Take the motor insurance, for example.
Okay, we don't have much time, but going forward now, some of these traders have been affected by the present market fire incident at open markets. Now, what would be the fate of those who took up insurance for their goods?
Definitely they will be indemnified. They will be paid back every loss and kobo as a result of that fire disaster.
Okay.
Then what I want to recommend is that the government should try and set up the Fire Prevention Committee. Fire Prevention Committee is a pre-loss body that look into exigencies and the calamity that is to befall, unforeseen, in terms of all this market, and they should evaluate their market potential. That is to say, the proximate risk assessment of every market in Edo State, because the time is of the essence. We cannot begin to have resurgences of the occurrences of fire here and there.
Okay.
So we have to move pragmatically to curb the incessant fire outbreak in our markets.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve Ovolen, for coming on the show. It's a nice place to rest the discussion for now, but I think if you haven't taken, or I should say that if you haven't taken anything out of the discussion, you should, as a business person, come on, do yourself good and look at insurance today. You may be saving yourself from a loss that no one will ever see coming. Not that, well, no, we are very spiritual people around there will say it's not my portion, but some would ask, whose portion is it? Sometimes things do happen. I'm Blessing AJ, and the show Business This Week will return to you next week Friday. Until then, stay safe.